three great icon agents. I'm just looking around here. They are all here. We have Michelle Rinaldi from Florida. We have Jeff McIntyre from Michigan and Monica Foster from Texas. And I see a hand raised in the crowd. If you have a question, Jeff, just go ahead and it looks like Jeff Rose may have a question. If you have a question, just go ahead and throw it in the chat. We have some topics to cover today, and if we get to some additional questions, we'll definitely hit those up in the chat as we get going. But with that said, let's jump right into it. Let's talk to some of these icon agents. And for those of you that are in the room that are new to EXP or maybe just wonder what is icon, we produce good numbers and we get icon status, but a real simple way to put that is once you cap, you do 20 more transactions, you become icon status. And there's a ton of benefits, and you can look those up in the world. So that's how we have all done. We've done that and exceeded it. So let's learn a little bit about these agents. Michelle, let's start with you. Tell me a little bit about your business, about yourself, kind of a little bit of your bio, how long you're in real estate with EXP, your market, team, that kind of stuff.
Sure. Hi, good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I have been a realtor for 8 years. I got my real estate license when we relocated from Canada to South Florida. I specialize in condo sales, oceanfront. More specifically, I have a really, really tight niche for my market. I've been with EXP for 2 years. I do around 15 million, which is probably between 35 and 40 transactions a year. And it's just me. I do it all. My husband actually he does a lot of renovations, but he did get his real estate license, and I kind of have him take out a lot of the buyers because it's kind of hard to be in 3 places at once, and I have a lot of little monsters at home that call me mommy. So I've got a lot of balls in the air at all times.
That's fantastic. Monica, let's go with you. Kind of same questions. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Monica Foster, and I have been with EXP for 1.4 years. I've been in the business for 16 years, and I specialize in single-family resale real estate in the Houston Bay Area. So when you think of the Bay Area, think NASA and the Johnson Space Center. I do have a team. I always lose count, so I actually had to make notes, but I'm not going to go into that right now. But we did 90.9 million last year, over 321 transactions.
Wow, that's amazing. You broke the 300 mark. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And same question over to you, Jeff. Tell us a little bit about you and your business and how long you've been doing this.
I'm at a much smaller scale than that. I'm right in the heart of Michigan. I don't have anything fun like NASA or the Johnson Space Center to talk about, except for we're the town in Michigan that has the barber that has been defying the governor's orders. So that's the fun association with my location. I've been in business here for 16 years and have been with EXP for almost 2.5 years now. And this is my second year as an icon. We are doing in between 50 and 75 units a year. Before the COVID thing brought some changes to us, we had goals up near 100, and we're going to keep those goals. We have a small team, myself as the lead agent and the listing agent. We have a buyer specialist, and we recently hired a team admin to serve as listing coordinator and closing coordinator. My specialty is definitely residential resale. Take on a few commercial listings, but realize where my wheelhouse is, so I stay the best I can to the residential.
It's awesome. I love that number. I saw we sent some messages back and forth before, and 52. I love the number 52. when you've hit that sale, because you know you're doing one a week, and I think that's great for the size of your team. Jeff, you're doing great. Let's get moving on. I absolutely love asking this question. I know a lot of people tend to have the same answer, EXP, but let's start with you, Monica, on this one. What is the single best thing you would attribute to your success at becoming an ICON agent?
For me, the single best thing is going to be my team. I have amazing assistants, starting with ISAs that take all the inbound calls. I have transaction coordinators who oversee everything and make sure that the documentation is there and everything is flowing smoothly. And I have a direct assistant who also acts as my direct transaction coordinator, but I have a showing assistant too. So again, just amazing support so that I can focus on the client's needs versus having to do paper pushing and everything myself and taking all the inbound calls from all the raw leads that we generate.
That's great. Hey, Jeff, to you, what would you say would be your biggest attribute to your successes becoming an ICON agent?
I have two, actually, and I'll try to keep it brief. But the first thing is relationship building and realizing that I do nothing without my clients, and if I'm only in it for business, they're a lot less likely to come to me. So we focus on building relationships and being there for our people from a servant's perspective, and that seems to pay off pretty well. But the second thing that I think couldn't be understated is coaching and mentorship. I'm always looking to somebody that's been there or done that, or that can offer me a different perspective on what we're doing, what we're trying to do. I operate in a circle that is only as big as I have immediate access to. So when I reach out to people that have been there and done that, I open my horizons significantly. So I lean on other people often.
Fantastic. Monica, same question. What has been the key to your success at becoming an ICON?
Michelle, I think you want me to answer now. Yes?
Sorry about that. Yes.
Nope. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so I attribute a lot of my success to really strong follow-up skills. I deal in a market where most of my buyers and sellers live out of state and out of the country. So when they come down here, they might look at a couple properties and then fly back to Germany or Canada or New York or California and not come back down again. It could be a few more months. Sometimes it takes a little while before they make a decision, and you need to really follow up and keep these people on your mind. So I think follow-up skills is huge, and then just keeping up with the people that I'm working with. I mean, I'm really hands-on. I take care of all aspects of a transaction for the most part. I think that also contributes to my success. A lot of my sellers, I never meet them. They'll call me, they'll have me list one of their condos. We will close it. I will never have met them. I will take care of everything. I will stage their property, clean out their property. I have a list of contacts that I have, junk removals, and charitable donations, and I'll get everything like that. And I just think it gives them a lot of peace of mind, especially for my elderly sellers who are now in their 80s and they can no longer come to Florida to vacation. So all those things kind of combined, I think, sets me apart and helps keep my business moving forward.
Michelle, follow-up question to that, because you mentioned that you work with a lot of foreign buyers and such like that. Do you speak multiple languages, or do you run into any language barriers? And if so, how do you overcome that?
I do not. I speak English and profanity. Those are my two languages. That's it. That's all I got. My husband's Italian. He understands some Italian. It's been really funny sometimes because when he's come with me and people, I mean, he can kind of understand some Spanish too. They'll talk, you know, in Italian or in Spanish, and he'll be like, oh, they said this, they said that. But no, most of the people, like I get a lot of like French Canadians, and then of course from Toronto where we lived is all English speaking. But no, there's usually no language barriers. Even like the people from Germany, they'll speak their language amongst each other, and then we'll communicate in English. So no, I haven't had an issue, thank goodness, so far with that. But I will say that dealing with buyers specifically in other countries, let's take Germany for example. When you buy a property in Germany, nothing comes with it. Nothing, no appliances, no cabinetry, nothing. So when I was selling an oceanfront condo to a lovely German company, they constantly went around going, does this stay? Does this stay? Does this stay? And then I finally realized they said nothing in Germany stays. They were pointing to the cabinetry. I'm like, everything stays. What? So that is something that, you know, I have to get used to. And then also different like contract work, you know, we deal with title companies, and up north and in Toronto, they deal with lawyers. So there's a lot of legal differences and stuff that I just kind of had to learn how each state does what, because I've got so many people coming and I need to make them feel comfortable and see how simple it is to actually, you know, buy property in South Florida.
That's awesome. Great information. And yeah, I find it interesting, like internationally, like how different it is. And then also with even our country, like East Coast to West Coast. I'm on the West Coast, and doing this long enough, you start to hear how they're a little bit different. Like there's places on the East Coast where you guys slide the keys across the table at the signing, right? On the West Coast, that doesn't happen. We're waiting on our county offices to do their thing. So very interesting to hear how that works. So thank you for that information. I'm going to go a little off of some of the questions that I had prepared today, because I've heard some things that are kind of consistent between the three of you. And I think that's efficiency with the number of transactions you're doing with the size of your teams. I think are quite amazing. Jeff, you're doing 50 with a goal of 100 with only one buyer's agent. I think, Monica, I think you have, if I remember right from what we discussed before, you have like 4 buyer's agents and then some assistants, and some are licensed, some are unlicensed. But doing 300 with that size of team, I think is absolutely amazing. And then Michelle, you're doing 30 to 40 as an independent agent, which is also a great number. It's kind of at your max, what I've seen, before you need to hire somebody. You can kind of get towards 40 and then you're kind of tapped out on time. But let's talk about your efficiency and what you do. Jeff, how do you stay efficient in what you do? Do you have systems or anything like that in place?
Absolutely. We try to have a system or a process for everything we do, you know, more than once in our business. We refer to it as operational excellence, but we are looking to make every step repeatable by any team member that would step in to say the transaction coordinator's job. We try to have the checklist there and flawless, and just need to be able to follow through and take action on it. So from incoming leads all the way to the closing table, we have defined processes, and those are always changing, and obviously no transaction is identical, but the repeatable steps we certainly have find and make sure that anybody on the team can perform those roles. That's again leaning on somebody from an outside perspective to help us see what other teams are doing successfully, and what we can implement in our market has been huge. We're looking at expanding soon, but I've identified a couple of areas in our business that I feel like we need to tighten up before we can offer services to another agent. But yeah, systems, processes. I use RealVolve as a CRM that ties in with our KV Core lead generating website. And obviously, SkySlope helps us with the transaction process as well.
Great. Monica, what do you do with such a large team, large numbers? What do you guys do to stay efficient?
So for us, everything is very process based, from the incoming leads, again, that the ISAs take and how they assign them, all the way down to the transaction coordinators. And again, they have workflows and steps that they have to follow. And so everything is always consistent. And that's what we want for our clients, is that consistency. We do use CRM, Top Producer. And of course, we have a ton of automation. So even when some of these leads come in and they contact us, they're getting automated emails, automated responses on a chat. Everything is, again, automated. So the follow-up, even we'll follow up if a lead gets assigned to one of our buyer's agents. Then we have automation that follows up with that lead to make sure that they were communicated with by the buyer's agent. And of course, communicated with in the way that they want it to be. So tons of automation. We use Zapier. I can't go into great detail on that because that's actually maintained by my husband. I just know that he has so many zaps, so to speak, and some of them have like 100 steps. So it's highly, highly automated at a very high level.
That's awesome. That's great. Michelle, what about you? I mean, you're an independent agent. You're doing it all yourself. What do you do to stay efficient? Because doing those numbers, you have to have some level of efficiency.
You know what? Like I said, I'm extremely hands-on. Buzzwords like systems and all this stuff, it's like, what does that even really mean? It's just a process of how you do something. I keep my business pretty simple. I like to, after I make contact with incoming leads that I get from, various lead generation systems. Again, I hate using buzzwords, but like I will then establish a relationship with the buyer and then introduce them to my husband, so they always feel like they are just being handled by us personally. I just feel like it's more intimate, like they feel like they're not just getting thrown around to a big team. And I guess eventually, if I do get to that point, maybe I won't be able to coddle everybody the way that I do. All my transactions, it's a checklist. We all do it the same way. It's not like there's a big mystery to like, do this, it's just to follow through with, you're under contract, here's your inspection. If there's, finance contingency, here's the appraisal, you kind of go through it. I do keep a lot of it in my head because I deal with a lot of the listings. My husband deals with the buyers, but it's very personal. It's very hands-on, and there's no other people that I kind of coming in, it's just my hands and his hands. So like I said, eventually, if it gets to be more than I can handle, I would bring someone else on, but it would, again, I'd have to keep it very personalized where people don't feel like, there's 5 people, you met me, now I throw you to you, now you're going to get thrown to this person, now here's the closing coordinator, and nobody knows what the other person's doing. Not that I'm saying anyone does it like that, but I think I have a bit of a control issue, and I just like to keep things very intimate and personalized, and keep my clients that they feel they can call me and get me direct. So
very good. Yeah, we do kind of the similar thing where we have either the admin or the agent working with the client is their main person. But I'm a high D, and I know a lot of us use the disc and profiling people, but so I had to put systems, policies, checklists together because the high D wants to skip over half of them just to get to the end, and then my eye just is like, let's not do it. Let's go to the bar and have a drink. Like, we want to have fun. So we, in our group, at least, we have, systems, policies, procedures, checklist. Otherwise things get missed when you have multiple people. But I like that, Michelle, that when you're doing it yourself, you and your husband, you can kind of keep each other accountable and have real good communication and make sure everything's getting done. So that's great. Another thing, what would let's go right back to you, Monica. What would you say is your number one priority every day? What is the number one thing that you need to accomplish every day?
So I could use the cliche and just say, oh, it's taking care of the clients, but that's a given. And I kind of want to go back to something that Michelle had commented on. And you can run at a high level business and still have very personalized relationships with your clients. Just because there is automation involved in that does not mean that the client feels like they're just another number. They don't know who that automation is coming from. It looks like it comes from me. So I just wanted to comment on that it's not just because somebody runs at a high level doesn't mean that there's not a personal relationship there. So, but going back to your question, so again, I could say the cliche answer and it's taking care of the clients. And of course it is, but honestly, the number one priority for me every day is to take care of myself. And that is by working out every morning. I mean, if you cannot take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take care of the client.
Very, very good. Very good point there. Yeah, and I think it with some of the automation that is out there, it looks like you're contacting them. So especially with some of the tools that we have through KV Core and everything. And wow, that was cool. Did you see everybody in the crowd just all of a sudden had faces instead of shapes? Amazing. And let's go over to you, Jeff. What was your number one priority every day?
It's hard to argue with the previous point, taking care of myself, but I'll call that a default answer. Talking to as many people as I can, and I probably the first level of people I'd want to talk to are my sphere of influence, past clients, and the folks that refer the most business to us. Just having a conversation or getting in front of them in some way or another to remind them that we're in real estate, we want to help them and help their people would definitely be the priority. And then the next level would be that communication in a transaction. A transaction is an opportunity to have a conversation with somebody about real estate every day, and so monitoring and maintaining the transaction is huge. But automation can do a lot of that for you, but I think it is the personal conversation, whether it's a phone call, text message, even a Facebook private message. And given the times we're in, it's not so reasonable anymore to always be face-to-face with somebody, but one of those modes of communications every day with at least 10 of my people is huge for us.
All right, yeah, I like that 10 contacts a day. Learned that pretty early on in real estate. You do that, you'll produce. So everybody out there, write that. That's a good note. Michelle, going over to you, what is your number one priority every day?
Well, I usually check in with emails and see if anything new has come in, and then my number one priority is to just check what stages all my transactions are in, just so I know what our next step has to be. Like that would be, real estate wise, and then follow up with any new leads that have come in and things like that. And then like I said, I've got young kids, so they usually want to eat, so I got to feed them and take care of them, and so that's a huge thing in my world, like my children and my family. I'm super lucky, like I don't have to work a lot of weekends, do a lot of open houses, work a lot of evenings, so I do get a lot of free time, and yeah, just enjoying my life and having a successful business and being able to balance that and keep a balance is always on the forefront of my mind, because sometimes one kind of trumps the other a little bit, and then I just have to bring it all back down. But for the most part, it's just seeing what's going to unfold in my day and contacting those people that need to get that I need to talk to about stuff.
That's great. That kind of leads into a next question, and that's real estate can be stressful, right? The longer we're in it, it seems like the more stress we get, right? Whether it's other agents that stress us out, other, clients, you get more of them. And then, some take more time than others. And it's, we're trying to be chameleons and get along with everybody when you got to bite your tongue sometimes. But what do you guys do to relieve that stress? What do you do to unwind, decompress? Are you able to shut it off? I have trouble shutting it off. So let's go right back to you, Michelle, because you were talking about the work-life balance. So what do you do to unwind, decompress, do for fun to kind of relieve some of the stress that we deal with?
Oh, what I really enjoy doing is consuming a lot of alcohol. I find that really makes me forget a lot of the bullshit that I've dealt with. And then no, you know what? I live on the beach. I live on the ocean. I love going to the beach and just breathing in fresh air, listening to the waves roll in, watching my girls, try to drown each other. Just kind of that makes me happy, just being outside and breathing in some fresh air, and drinking too. I'm not gonna lie, I do drink. So I think being with family, but I do agree that it is sometimes hard to shut it off, because I'll have like 10 different thoughts going on in my head. I just write them down, and once I know that they're on a sheet of paper, then I can kind of release it, because it's like, okay, I know I'm not going to forget it. I wrote it down, and now let's just go enjoy my day, and then kind of, circle back, and address that at a later time. But it's really important to compartmentalize, and separate. I'll never forget when I was just getting my real estate license. I met with a man. He owned a huge real estate company, and was just amazing. And I sat down with him. I didn't even have my license yet. And he said to me, my best advice is don't let real estate consume you. Those were his exact words. And 8 years ago, I had no idea what he was talking about. I did not understand what that meant. And now I do. So I try every day to just not let it consume me, and to enjoy my life.
It is so easy to let it consume you. It really is, especially as you start growing and stuff like that. But that's great advice to people. Monica, what do you do? What do you do to get rid of the stress? I mean, you broke that 300 mark, over 300 transactions. Are you able to turn it off? And then, what do you do to decompress and unwind?
So I actually do turn it off. I made that decision several years ago that not only was I going to take Sundays off, and by taking off, I mean I don't take face-to-face appointments. I still talk to my clients on the phone. I still answer emails on that day, but I really take that day to hang out by the pool and just decompress that way. But I also made it my rule that I would turn off my phone, or put it in do not disturb, I should say, turn off my phone at 7:00 at night. And when I made that decision, I had emailed all of my clients in one mass email and just said, look, I'm going to start turning my phone off at 7. I am going to start taking Sundays off. And they all respected me for that, because again, you can't work 7 days a week and not expect to get burned out. So when I turn my phone off at 7, or again, put it in do not disturb, things still come through, text messages, and I still check them. And if it's something really pressing, then I will get with that client and respond to it. But my clients know they know that there's a good chance they're not going to reach me after that time. And that's just primarily because I start my day at 5:30 in the morning. So I need a couple of hours of decompression time before I go to sleep, because otherwise you can't shut your brain off. Unfortunately, I do have to have a glass of wine to help with that relaxation and decompression. And then one of the other things that I started doing probably back in December is just meditating. And unfortunately, I've been so busy, I'm not doing it every day right now, but even just a 5-minute meditation when you feel yourself getting really stressed out, just taking a step back and again, just focusing on breathing, I mean, it helps dramatically. So that's just what I do.
That's good. Good. I'm seeing a trend of a little bit of drinking here, which is okay. Jeff, what about you? What do you do to decompress, unwind, be able to shut it off? Or
I actually don't consume alcohol anymore in effort to to relieve the stress. I do believe in setting boundaries in your business for sure. I'll echo that. You know, you set a tone with your clients that you don't respond after a certain time, and it's going to be different for everybody. I tell, well, I don't really have an official stance, but I basically after dinner time I give myself about a half hour, 45 minutes to look at phone, make sure I don't have any pressing issues to respond to, and then I'm done with real estate stuff for the night. I might still have my phone out or my laptop out, but I'm not responding to clients and not addressing any immediate transactional concerns. Um, so boundaries, I think, is really the first thing, and the same goes for the morning. I don't respond to text messages or emails until about 8:30 a.m. I like to have my morning to mentally prepare and sometimes physically prepare for the day. So I'll echo the point about meditation and mindfulness. For me, it's the best way to clear out your head at the end of the day, or even just before bedtime. I've experimented with a bunch of different types of meditation, but they all are very helpful. Breathing exercises along with that, and just stretching. You don't have to be a muscle head necessarily to get benefits out of physical activity. I definitely do a round of stretching that is sort of like yoga type stretching, along with breathing exercises at night, and I try to start my morning out with that as well. Those things by themselves help keep the anxiety and the stress at bay. But the boundaries, I would say, is probably the biggest contributor to shutting it off. If I know that my people don't expect me to respond after a certain time, then there's nothing to worry about until the next morning. And I just make sure that I time block time first thing in the morning to address anything that I may have missed previous night or the first thing in the morning.
that's good. Yes, some physical activity for you to press and stuff like that. I like the physical ties to your stress levels. There's a lot of studies about that, and the breathing. I think a couple of you talked about that, and just relaxing your body helps relax your mind. So very, very good stuff. Let's get back into a little bit of business stuff here. What would you guys say was your single greatest decision in real estate? Not just in EXP, just in your entire real estate career. I think up here we have probably 50 years of 60 years, I don't know, of real estate experience on the stage right now. Go right back at you, Jeff. What would you say was your greatest decision you've made in your business, in your real estate career?
I think the easy answer would be the move to EXP, but I'll set that up a little bit better. It was a conscious decision in 2013 to approach this business from a growth mindset and really just absorb all the information I can from the people that know better than me, the people that have done it before me. And so when there's a recommendation for a book from a fellow real estate agent, I'm going to look into the book, and I'm going to take concepts in that book seriously and make notes and decide if there's something I want to take action on. But really the decision to approach everything from a growth mindset, and knowing that I don't have all the answers, can't possibly have all the answers. I have learned so much by keeping an open mind and be willing to talk to other people, so that led me to the idea of hiring a coach, or at least adopting a mentor that will let me bounce some ideas off them. And of course, being that that's one of EXP's core values in collaboration, that is actually what led me to EXP. Was I happened to turn to Amy Brookhammer, who was at EXP several months before me. She offered some training modules and just some general mentorship, and that brought me to EXP.
Great. That is my number one answer. Moving to EXP as well. Monica, what about you? What's been the greatest decision you've made in your real estate career?
So for me, the greatest decision that I made was back in 2012. I had told myself that if I, as an individual, hit 75 transactions that year, that I would get a buyer's agent. And so that year I surpassed that. I hit 81 and I brought on my first buyer's agent that following, so basically in the winter, so the first quarter of 2013. And so forming the team for me has been the best decision that I have made. It has helped us obviously grow because as an individual doing 81 transactions a year, business is being lost. You're turning people away at that point because you can only do so much as just one person. And I didn't even have an assistant then. So that to me was a turning point for my business. And again, I brought on my first buyer's agent. Shortly thereafter, we brought on our second buyer's agent. And then probably about another 6 months later, we brought on our very first assistant, and it's just grown. And you learn and make mistakes over time. But for me, that growing the team was the biggest thing.
Wow, that's amazing. 80 transactions. Did you have a transaction coordinator at all, or is it literally just you?
It literally was just me. So I didn't have much of a personal life, but I've been an empty nester for probably about eight years at this point. So it's just my husband and I. He runs my business now. At the time, he didn't. But no, it was just me, and it was a lot. And you find, again, that leads to the whole, hey, I need to take Sundays off. I'm getting really burned out. Because again, you can only, as a person, do so much. Now, that was an equal split for me that year of sellers and buyers. I think I had worked with like 41 sellers and 39 buyers, but just the buyer business alone had me constantly running. And I would find that I was getting back to my laptop and I had hundreds of emails to check and tons and tons of voice messages. So it was always, I was always in a state of never being able to really fully catch up. So that, I think it was just critical to bring that buyer's agent on.
Wow. Yeah, that's impressive. I mean, I think I've heard of like one other person doing that level as an independent agent, but yeah, you probably have a lot more time now.
I do, and I don't recommend waiting that long for anybody. That's certainly, I probably waited a little bit too long. I should have done that maybe the year before, and again, but lesson learned. You certainly don't ever want to bring people on too soon when you don't have the business to support them, but you certainly don't want to wait as long as I did and not have any sort of personal life, because it really, I know that year especially, it really took that away from me. And even at this point, I still do about 150 transactions of that 300 plus myself, but I primarily work listings now. So it's much easier to manage than what it was back in 2012 with, so many buyers.
Yeah, that's great. It's great. So you're still doing 150 personals, but you have assistants and stuff. So policies, and you talked about it, policies, procedures, processes, automation. Very good. Michelle, let's go to you with that same question. What was your single greatest decision in your real estate career?
For me, it would be choosing a niche for my business, which is the condo market. I'm a nationally certified condo specialist. I feel that, there's so many realtors out there, we're all trying to do the same thing, that to have a specialized niche to just set yourself apart is really important. And that was condos for me. And that's primarily what what the majority of my business is. And what I do so love about it is, like I said, I sell to a lot of people who live out of state, who come down here on vacation to buy. So my hours, my first showing usually is at 10. I'm done at 3. Like if I have a showing after 3, I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. What's going on? Like I'm done at 3 o'clock. I don't do open houses because the logistics of doing open houses for the condos is it doesn't really work. I've done some progressive open houses where I've got a group of realtors and we all kind of do it together. and I don't really work weekends, you know. So that condo niche for me to give me such a successful business, but like, you know, not be so invasive of my world. And I didn't even know I wanted it until it happened. I was just going to be like every other realtor and sell single family homes and do residential and do the whole shebang. But I'm very fortunate and lucky that this kind of shoved itself in my path. But yeah, picking the niche of the condo market is a blessing, and I'm so glad that's what my real estate business is most built on.
Very, very cool. There's a few recorded, so if anybody is interested in that whole niche market, there's a few recorded ICONversations that were done over the past couple of weeks that really talks about the finding it. And what I've noticed is a lot of people find their niche or their niche, or however you say it. They find it by it just falling in their lap, like it just happened naturally and everything like that. So very, very, very good. When I talk about the good, I always like to talk about the bad and ask, what was, so let's go with this. What was the worst decision you made in your business, and how have you learned and moved forward from it? So Michelle, let's go right back to you.
The worst decision. I know what I think. Okay. Oh, can you guys hear me okay? Because it's coming back in my head.
Oops, I left my mic open. Sorry about that.
Okay. No. I just thought it was maybe my other personality coming out to answer the question. The bad Michelle. I think what I did was, in the beginning, I was just so just kind of trying to survive and trying to be a real estate agent that I wasn't organized enough. I didn't keep good enough records, and that's what I would recommend to anyone just starting out. Like, really make sure you have your database, keep it organized with your buyers and your sellers contact information. And in the beginning, I just did not do that, and I found that later, having to go back and fix that and get that where it should be would have been a lot easier had I done that from the beginning, and I didn't. So that would be the worst decision, was just not being organized and having that clean, strong database that I have now.
Very good. Jeff, what about you? What was your worst decision, or a miss, or something like that in your real estate career, and how did you move forward and from it?
Yeah, I'd say maybe not a decision, but a mindset that the market I work in, it probably has, my entire county has somewhere around 70,000 people. If I stretch out a bit from there, I would say I have 80 to 90,000 people in the market that I typically work. So it's a relatively small rural county, and I grew up here. My mom's side I have 11 or 10 aunts and uncles, and on my dad's side I had 7 aunts and uncles. So I came into this feeling like I know a lot of people, and I coached youth sports before I got into real estate. I really felt like I was well connected, and I knew people. I think the mistake I made was making an assumption that they knew I was in real estate, and that because they knew I was in real estate, that they would just automatically trust me to handle their transactions. And that was a painful first, 3 or 4 years in the business, coming to the realization that I need to be in a regular touch with them and make sure they don't forget me. So I had to build some brand awareness and become top of mind, for they would just turn to me. And I still had to earn trust, obviously. But I spent that first probably 4 years total, grumbling under my breath, asking myself, why did they just use that other agent? I had a database of 400 or 500 people that, it was just a database. So I wasn't taking a whole lot of action on it. So that's where I came to. The pain was strong enough that it led me to the decision that I needed to make those 10 calls a day to my sphere of influence, at least, and haven't regretted that decision at all.
Very good. Monica, let's go to you with that same question.
So the worst decision, and I've made a lot of bad decisions, by the way, in my career, but I think the worst decision, honestly, was not joining EXP sooner. I had actually met Pat Hayes several years ago, and he wanted to talk to me about it. And I'm so sorry, Pat, if you're listening. I totally brushed him off, and I look back and I'm like, gosh, I wish I would have started this sooner. But I'm here now, obviously, and so again, I regret not joining sooner, but we were riding high with our former brokerage and still in growth mode and building and just trying to dominate in our market, which we did. And I think if we had joined EXP at that time, I don't think that we would have at that point dominated in our market because EXP really was not known in my area 4 years ago. So I think that everything that we did brought us to where we are now. But like I said, I really think that has been the worst decision. But unfortunately, it just brought me to where I am now.
Very good. I love learning from our mistakes, and I think that other agents can learn from our mistakes just as much as they can learn from our wins. So I definitely like talking about that. Let's talk about your lead generation or your lead sources. What's your most effective lead generation tool or source or process or something like that? Let's start with you, Jeff.
I mentioned how speaking to my sphere of influence, my database was the biggest priority. What I've done, this is not my nickname for the program by any means, but top 50, I take my top 50 past clients or referral sources, and I make sure that I do something specifically for them every month. This month, we are wrapping up. I just had little packets that had some flower seeds, forget-me-nots, and some spring-themed stickers and some business cards and stuff in there. But we're making sure we drop those off at every house, hoping for the opportunity to speak directly with them. But some months we've done cupcakes. We'll probably do something, around Halloween time. We did something St. Patrick's themed. But every month, those 50 people get something from us that hopefully spurs a conversation, even just a thank you, so that we can have an ongoing conversation with them. So top 50 would be my main program.
That's good. I like that. Top 50, top 100. Start writing people down and work with them. And Monica, what would you say for you? What's your most effective lead generation, tool or process?
We're so diversified. I don't think we have any one thing. I mean, it's a total package. We do get a lot of client referrals, which is, again, we can't do pop buys for hundreds upon hundreds of people. I would love to, but you can't do it at our level. So we do get about 1/3 referral. And that might be a little bit higher. Thankfully, my husband's not listening because he would probably correct me on that. But, and again, I know people will disagree with this. We are big on Zillow. We have been for years. We had no choice but to go online for lead gen because I am not originally from the Houston area. I actually started my real estate career in Dallas. And so when I moved to the Houston area because of my husband's job transfer, I had no sphere, so I had no choice but to start by generating online leads through pay-per-click on Google and, of course, Zillow. So, like I said, there's no single thing for us, but we are big on Zillow. I mean, we do a big business with Zillow, and again with our client referrals.
Very good. And You don't like Zillow? Well, everybody gets their own opinion. No. And then, Michelle, let's talk to you. What's your most effective lead generation tool or process that you use?
Well, when we like I said, we had relocated to South Florida from Toronto, Canada. So when we came down here, I mean, we didn't have any sphere of influence. You know, we had no friends, we had no family. We didn't have anyone to to kind of get us going. I now I'm extremely successful with Zillow. Have a great conversion rate with them on the phone. And then since Zillow got me started, now the referrals come in. People know who I am. They know my name. They see me around. So it's a lot of referral based as well. And then just people find me, on the internet from other posts that I do, or other social media. Kind of just internet searches and stuff like that. I pop up a lot for the condo market. So I would say that would be it. I know, don't knock Zillow. I'm sorry. I mean, it feeds my kids. So, I mean, it's great.
Yep. Yeah. Perfect. It's fun. I was doing an interview with some other agents, and they're within EXP, and they call Zillow a swear word, and I love it. Like, we can all have different opinions. Like, I'm pretty neutral on it. I'm like, take it or leave it, whatever you want. But some people love it, some people don't. So I love that we can all get along and have drinks in Las Vegas together. So let's talk about a little bit like your early career versus today. Why did you become a realtor? And then is why you're still a realtor today the same, or is that morphed or changed? Not necessarily your big why for what you do, but like why did you start getting into real estate? And then is it still your same reason you stay in real estate today? Michelle, let's go with you.
Okay, so I got into real estate because I had to generate an income for my family. We relocated to South Florida because my husband had to shut his business down, and at the time I was a stay-at-home mom, so he was the only income provider, and now we had no money. So we packed up one car, drove to South Florida. My in-laws let us stay at their condo, which is, I've sold it now, but we moved into, because we had no home, and we pretty much had about $1,000 a month to live on. I know it sounds extreme, but I was probably the only agent who started out with no car and no cell phone. No car, no cell phone. And I just faked it in the beginning. I had no choice. Wow. It was like survival mode. There was no not being successful, because I promised my husband if I couldn't get this to go in 1 year, we would have to pack up and move back in with my in-laws. So if that's not motivation to get your ass out of bed every morning and make a deal, I don't know what is, going back to Canada and moving in with your in-laws. So I had no choice. That's why I became a realtor. I had a background. I worked on Wall Street before I got married, but there's no Wall Street, in Florida, and we couldn't afford to move to New York because we didn't have anywhere to live. So that's why we picked Florida. I am still a realtor. I love it. I don't love all of it. I don't love it all, but I love the listings. I love winning them, and getting them. And then I love nurturing the listings and doing all the creative parts to them, staging the properties, coming up with my own marketing strategy. Each one of my condo listings, it's like a different child. I got to find what makes that kid special, and then promote that and make that stand out. So I really love that. And I have to say, I mean, there's some catharsis in some of the paperwork. I love checklists. I have my it's not a very detailed, and I scratch out. I love checking things. Done. Inspection. Done. And I really like negotiating. I think I'm a really good, fair negotiator. So those are the things I really love about it. I don't, and that's why I still do it. And it still feeds my kids and it still pays my bills. So that's also a bonus. But that's my why and my still why.
Michelle, that first of all, that's amazing. Like you, no car, did it, faked it till you made it. I mean, just like that's great. And we're gonna need you to write a book about that because I think we all would read it. That's a pretty cool story. And if we had a lot more time, I'd want to know more about it. So good job at getting from where you were to where you are. So hats off to you. Monica, let's go with you. Why did you get into real estate? Why did you become a realtor? And then what is your is that still the same reason you stay in it today?
So my story is so lame compared to Michelle's. I mean, that's an incredible story. But yeah, no, I got into real estate because my husband, who was at the time my boyfriend, we decided we wanted to start investing and flipping and all of that good stuff. And what ended up happening is it started it became a career. We never did the flipping. We've never done that. Obviously we do have investment property, but so for me, I mean, my story is very lame. It was solely to get into investing and flipping. And like I just mentioned, that's never come to fruition. So that is clearly changed today because now it is such a business for me. And I don't mean business in a derogatory way. I don't treat my clients like numbers, but it is a business. And I've run it as a business for many, many years because, again, you can't get to a certain level and not treat it like a business. And getting to my level is not for everybody, obviously. So yeah, it's totally different today. I mean, now it's my why is I'm focusing on retirement. I hope to step back in the next 2 to 3 years, not stop in production completely, but I'd like to scale back down to maybe just 50 transactions a year for me and let my team handle everything else. And then my goal is really to retire in about 7 more years. So I'm fast approaching 50 and I really need to take a step back pretty soon because I can't keep running at this pace every day.
Very good. I am with you on that. And we're trying to build up so we can step back. Jeff, what about you? Why'd you get into real estate? I believe you've been in 16 years. Is it the same reason you stay in it today?
So 16 years ago, we were starting, I had a 4-year-old daughter and we were discussing adding more children to the family, and I was working in corporate America, commuting about an hour and a half each way, leaving early in the morning, not getting back until late at night. So pretty low quality of life as far as, from a perspective of starting a family and being there for my kids and all that. So I needed to find something that would allow me the flexibility, and I chuckle, and I use air quotes when I say flexibility now, but I needed something that would afford me the ability to be closer to home and have the opportunity to say no to clients when I prefer to be with my family. So, through my kids' school years, I never missed an opportunity to chaperone a field trip or be at the school for something. So I never, ever regretted that decision. There were some hard years in between. The sacrifice was tough at times, nearly broke our family twice on 2 separate occasions. But now that my kids are older, a junior in college and a sophomore in high school, the reason is still the same. While our family situation is a little bit different, it still offers me the flexibility to be with them when I need to be with them and when I want to be with them. But now I see the challenges, and I love the challenge. The why now is, success on a daily level, on a quarterly level, and on a yearly level, and the opportunity to help people with the biggest transaction of their lives. I can't think of another industry, another business, or another company I would want to work for and take the time away from the family to do. And it happens to be now that we can I have found a way to monetarily reward myself appropriately for the time spent with those people. So, now, yeah, it's the same thing. I'm kind of setting myself up to be able to step away someday and have a business that is can run on its own, employ people, and still achieve the end goal for our clients. So we're getting there.
Very good, awesome, and we're running out of time, so I'll wrap us up here. First of all, thank you, agents up here, the Icon agents. We're all busy, and we took time out of our day to pour into the rest of people at EXP. And collaboration is a big thing here, and I absolutely have loved seeing the collaboration and being part of it, and also being fed from the collaboration and being able to learn from others. So it's been great. And then also, it's open. EXP is really open. So if you resonated, if anything you want to do or aspire to do resonated with anything we said resonated with you, reach out to us. Like if Michelle, or if somebody heard something Michelle said, like starting from nothing, if any of you are new, you might want to reach out to Michelle because she obviously did something right? Monica's got a big team. If you're a growing team or if you're aspiring to be a team, maybe reach out to Monica. Jeff, he's found a really good balance between his personal life. If you're having trouble with that, maybe reach out to him. We're all here. You can find us all in Workplace. Just jot our names down real quick. Our numbers are there. Our emails are there. And then, Michelle, did you have something to say, like a light bulb showed up above your head, and I don't really know what that means.
No, me? No,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, okay, cool.
Maybe my avatar is just thinking good weekend thoughts.
Our,
I have no idea.
Our avatars can be weird sometimes. But I was watching one earlier, and like they turned into a little person. It was weird. But thank you very much, everyone, for coming. And thank you all for staying and listening to us. And I hope you all have a great and blessed day. We'll talk to you later.